Every day at noon we do this. We chat, we have a good time, we talk about movies, talk about things we love. Pacific Standard Time, that is, of course. It's funny, I gotta use my own music now. This is a song that I wrote with my band back in the day. I can't use James Brown, it turns out, anymore. There's no more James Brown using, because I got demonetized so hard by YouTube and Facebook. They slammed the demonetization. Not even the demonetization, they blocked, they copyright claimed and squashed my small ass show, my tiny ass show, just me and you. I appreciate you being here. Today we're going to talk about Juneteenth, which marked the official end of actual slavery in the United States. So it has been celebrated, but you know, come on. There's other forms of slavery that have been taking place since then that have been egregious. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We having a good time here. I'm just going to wait till everybody trickles in. This is the daily routine here. We'll get drinking some coffee. I hope you got your coffee. I hope you've got your self. I hope you've got your warm teddy bear to cuddle up with. And if you're anything like me, your sidekick is Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda says hello. Baby Yoda thinks that you are the droids he is looking for. He likes the way you use the Force. I'll tell you something. I would like to see them do a copyright claim on this song, which has never been released. I've got some music available. If you guys would like to hear some of my music, you can go to Veda.com, VAEDA.com. You can go to Spotify, find my band on there. That was when I was a child and I was writing songs and rock and roll. I still do that every now and then, but it's, you know. I gotta tell you, it's really difficult to, the music business. That's a whole other lifetime to explain. So we're gonna have fun today. We're gonna also be, face some cold, hard truths. Hey, Tatiana, welcome. I hope everything's streaming well for you guys. I've been having some trouble with some the streaming situation every now and then. I won't bore you with the details. I'll bore you with the main content of the show. All right, and there goes the intro. That's the new intro. It's the old intro. Same as the old thing. So I want to talk about, obviously, what's trending first. Guys, there's still a coronavirus situation happening. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm going on social media and I'm seeing people just acting like it's not there. Look, go out, have fun, have a good time, hang out, just wear a mask. Keep your distance. Don't hang out too long indoors. It's very simple. Wash your hands, damn it. If you could do that, you can do anything. Have you ever had a dreams? Have you ever had a dreams? Yes. I have had so many dreams. But I got to tell you guys, I have to tell you. I am so henceforth compelled to tell you. What's up, Valbuena? What's up, Eva Gala? Welcome. You know, the president, he's doing a rally this weekend. Hello, Full Throttle family. V, welcome. Honorary family member and actual family member. Look at that. See that? You could be both. There's a Venn diagram of Full Throttle fans. Most of them are actually my actual family. Good golly, I'm caffeinated. I can't wait to just shoot myself out of a cannon. The President of the United States. I will never say the term. I will never say that guy's name preceded by the word president, and I have never done it. That's my own personal reasons. I get it. He is the President of the United States. That's who he is. But I've never said the name. I've never said the word president, and then I have never said the word Trump right after it. I can't say it. I cannot bring myself to say it. Why is that? Oh, you know, because I'm anti-racist. I'm against the racism thing. He's holding a rally in Oklahoma, in Tulsa, guys. Now we're going to talk about Juneteenth, and Juneteenth, if you don't know, is the official mark in the celebration yearly, and usually a week-long celebration, 5 days maybe, of music and good times and singing of the end of slavery. Because you know what? In Texas, they didn't allow the slaves to go free for another 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. Lincoln was all like, yo, slaves shall henceforth forever be free from this moment forward. Listen to the power of that statement, too. That is moving. You're spending your whole life enslaved, unpaid labor. Guys, if you want to know what the slavery literally means, you are treated as if you are a piece of property. You were literally technically counted as a piece of property. You worked the land as if you were a beast of burden, but you are a human being. Everyone listening to the show is a human being, unless you're a dog or a cat. And I appreciate that too. So if you think about that for a minute, you might be stunned, you might be taken aback, you might be shocked. You got to really put yourself in that position. You got to really just drop yourself in like incredibly untenable living situation. I imagine. You can do this. You guys can imagine this. We've all got the power of imagination. We can go to imagination land. Use the force if you need to. But you got to think about the slavery situation. Not a good one. And now in Texas, people, even from the South, they actually moved their slaves from the Confederacy because the Confederacy was defeated. It was declared that there was no more slavery. The Union troops were down in the South going, hey, get everybody, cut it out. You're not a slave owner. You're not a slave. It's over. It's done. And, but a lot of people thought, you know what, if I bring my slaves over to Texas where they haven't told nobody yet, I can go collect my slaves after this Confederacy potentially wins the war. And the Confederacy was like, you're not going to win the war. They lost, guys. The Confederacy did not even exist for long enough time to like lose its baby teeth. So come on, get over the frickin' Confederacy. People still holding on to that flag. Get over it. You get over your frickin' 3 years, the free 3 or 4, or however long year Confederacy was. It'll take a minute to get over 400 years of slavery, okay? Why are you holding on to that little tiny period so hard when there's like 400 years, there's 200 years on either side of it of just frickin' incredible like racism and slavery? And you wanna sit there and say, well, the Confederacy stood for something. No, it stood for slavery, guys. It really did. That was a major reason the war happened in the United States. I don't know if you know your American history, but if you're a Confederate flag waving SOB, maybe educate yourself for a second. So 2 years after that, the Emancipation, a general was sent to Texas and literally was like, y'all suck, Texas. You did not free the slaves after the president had told you to free the slaves. And in that moment, slaves were like, I'm out of here, yo. I'm out. Oh, okay. Here comes a Union general. I'm out. Okay, let's do this. Let's get the F out of here. Let's get on up out of here. But guys, got to remember, it's really difficult when you go from an entire life of servitude, slavery. What do you do then? You have to start from zero. Hey, from Mexico. What's up, RTV Media Online? Welcome. We're just talking about Juneteenth and the celebration of that. Fast forward to 99 years ago, from 150 years ago, there was a massacre in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was a place called Black Wall Street. It was one of the most up-and-coming black areas in the United States. There were people trying to live the American dream, because guess what, people? Black people are American too. Slaves were Americans. Slaves were Americans because they were born here. And you were born here. We were all born here, probably, if you're American to this day. I mean, you could emigrate here. But the point is, we were all Americans. So people in Tulsa, black people, formed a community and were like, let's live out the American dream, because that is what is afforded to us by right of birth, of being an American. And a lot of folks in Tulsa didn't like it. There was an accusation made over some advance or some slight or some advance in public. Of course, it was someone accused one of the black people of doing something. Turned out later it was not true. And as a result, fighting ensued. People, just complete mayhem and havoc ensued, and people went through the town in Tulsa and just destroyed it and killed up to as many as 300 black folks. 300 people dead, murdered. 300. And to this day, they don't know where a lot of them were buried. Interestingly enough, there is a grave site where a lot of archaeologists and scientists have been finally awarded money to pursue the truth on this 99 years later. And they found actually that there is a potential gravesite where up to 100 bodies could have been buried. So they want to exhume these remains and build a memorial and a monument in memory, because you can't just sweep stuff like this under the carpet. 300 people. How come we, like, why is it 99 years later we're finally doing something about it? These are good questions to ask. It's an important question to ask. Why is it that it takes 99 years for America to do something? What's up, Will? You can lurk all you want. We in the background. We're here for you at work. We're going to support you. Not one single arrest the popcorn passport reminds us of. Now, why do I bring this up? The Watchmen. Lest we forget, this is an entertainment program. Why did I learn about this massacre watching The Watchmen on HBO? I might have heard dribs and drabs of this at some point. I knew there were atrocities in America, but America, they don't teach you this part of American history. Guys, they talk about Black History Month. They talk about Women's History Month. They give people a month. It's just American history. This is what America did. We compartmentalize the fact, and we forget, completely erase totally the idea that 300 black Americans were murdered for just wanting to live the American dream. This is just a travesty. It's horrible. And I feel like this is a time of a lot of looking inward. A lot of self-reflection. I'm having some interesting conversations with my friends. Some of them, I'm learning about a term right now. I'm learning about, I had like a really tough argument with a friend the other day. And it has to do with, people. I'm going to bring up this whole concept again. When you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. It feels like someone's coming at you when you've been sitting on your high horse and they just want to get up on your horse or have you come down off that horse. It feels like, what is this slight? What is this attack against me? Nothing. It's just an ask for equality. It's very simple. It's a very simple request. The luxury that you feel, the calm that you feel. I know that it feels uncomfortable to probably be yanked from it, suddenly becoming aware of a lot of these atrocities in American systemic racism. Suddenly becoming aware of it, realizing that it's true. Oh, this is true. I've heard about this. I've not been privy to it. But when I see a man get knelt on in the middle of the street and be murdered like he is not human, like he is not a man with a family, like he's not a human being with goals and thoughts and opinions and motivation and a history, a personal history, and friends and occupation, and all of these things made up George Floyd. And he has to be the guy now. He has got to be the poster guy. A lot of other people have been shot since. A couple other people have been shot. Black people have been shot since. And I feel like it's kind of fading into the background. Because guess what? We're opening up. It's Corona. We're undoing the Corona lockdown. Let's get out of it. Let's go out there. So let's start getting mad at people not wearing masks again instead of actually realizing the ills of society. Let's go back to feeling comfortable in our bubble because we were yanked from it. Yanked from our bubble. Angie and O learned about it in 4th grade. The Tulsa Massacre. I'm glad the Watchmen features that. And you get the Lou Gossett Jr. character. You get his motivation. We follow his arc from a young boy witnessing that Tulsa Massacre in the show Watchmen. If you haven't watched Watchmen, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why don't you got a HBO Now Max, HBO Go Now Max subscription? I got all the Go. I got all the Now. I got a subscription to Max. I'm confused, okay? I've got a subscription to HBO Max, but I only have HBO Now on my app, on my Fire Stick. So when I watch HBO Now, I can still watch all the HBO. So I guess my HBO Max is working for HBO Now. So go, HBO Go. Guys, they got to really figure out that branding. When I was watching Watchmen, it was really fascinating to see that really be the central thrust of the whole story and really give a good reflection upon society. And there's a lot been going on in the last few years, which I think Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, his This Is America video, not that it kicked off this social awareness, not that it kicked it off, it just highlighted it, just reminded us. If you have not seen the video for This Is America, I highly recommend it. 2 years ago it came out, and 2 years later, the world looks exactly like the video. It's a bit prophetic. The TV show Watchmen really does lean into this part of America. We ignore this part of America. That is the whole point of Childish Gambino's video. We ignore that this is American history. This is America. People say, oh, well, look, this is the America that we want to show. It's divided. It's a certain type of families, certain type of values. And Childish Gambino is all like, hey, check out what it's like to be me in America. Yeah, you have to watch the video for This Is America like 10 times in a row. I watched it about 20 times in a row the first time I watched it. Because every time you watch it, it's a powerful experience. I think it's a powerful experience for anybody. I think because of it, the work speaks for itself. However, if you come from being brown your whole life, you probably go, oh, wow, this is resonating with me. Some people maybe less than others. But I had an interesting conversation the other day with a friend. And they seem to be worked up. Now, guys, The atrocity of the Tulsa Massacre 99 years ago, the audacity of the president, who is pretty much, I mean, let's face it, guys, he's racist. I don't understand why people are going to sit there and try to say he's not, why they're going to defend him, why they're going to say everything he says is not what he means. Literally everything he says and does is not what he means. How much are we going to play that game? Here at Aristotle Full Throttle, we call people out on the carpet and we say, this is what it is, okay? Stop spinning it. Stop BSing us on this. The audacity of the president to sit there and say, I'm going to go give a speech to a bunch of people in Tulsa to try to help them, make them feel better about some situation, maybe better about the virus. We're going to see this on TV in about 2 days. We're going to watch about an entire arena full, or I don't know where he's going to have who, and I doubt you'll see many people of color in the crowd. There's something about the Klan rallies, I mean the president rallies, that have very, very, very few people of color. That should tell you something, right? Why won't anybody of color show up? And then when they do, they'll point them out. They'll be like, hey, look in the back. I could see a fleck of darkness in the crowd. I see some pepper in the salt. Why is that? You got to think, maybe, just maybe, people are like, this dude's racist. I'm not going to his rally. I do not feel welcome at this rally for one reason or another. I do not like what this guy has to say about me or people who look like me or people who are marginalized in this country. He clearly has racism issues. I'll be over here. I think, though, a lot of times when you're not a person of color or a minority in this society, you just don't get the importance of why should race matter? What's the big deal? Why is it? You know, I always thought that too. I do feel that way too. I actually do. It's like, I fundamentally do. I'm like, why are we even caring? This doesn't matter. But guess what? You know, and I didn't want to talk about stuff like this necessarily on my show. I never really wanted to. I did want to raise awareness of my own personal experience. I did want to raise awareness of people that maybe didn't have the same life as me or you. But here we are. This is what's happening. And it's kind of weird. And much like Oprah, I'm going to use my platform to share my experience. And hopefully we can learn from it. I don't know. I don't think that my experience is particularly unique. I just think that it's mine. I'd like to hear about your experience. I don't know what it's like for you. I keep saying during this time, I know as a person of color what I'm hearing as a person of color. I know what I'm hearing people say. Particularly, I know what I'm hearing white folks say to me. I know what black folks are saying, people of color are saying to each other. I know that. But I don't know, what I don't know is what white folks are saying to each other about this. I understand there's a feeling of discomfort. I understand there's a feeling of, now this is the term. It might be a controversial term. This is the term I'm learning about. White fragility. Okay? And that's what I mean when I say, look, you know, when you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. If you are in the privileged part of society or the more privileged part of society, look, there's so many different levels of privilege in this society. Unless you're a white man and you're a billionaire, like that is where you know, right now, if you want to be like on top of the world, you got to be Jeff Bezos. You got to be like straight up that guy. That's the model over and over again that we see. That is what we have laid out before us. And I'll get to Gossett Jr. in The Watchmen, because The Watchmen was an incredible show. It was probably the best season of television I've ever seen. Solid, completely encapsulates a perfect arc. Everything that's addressed in that show that comes up pays off. There's a payoff for everything, and there's so much that goes on with the idea and the scope of racism in this country. There's good people on both sides of racism, K-Ferg says. The president does not condemn these folks. The president does not condemn the people who go through the streets saying the Jews will not replace us with tiki torches, chanting that, waving Confederate flags, waving symbols from the Klan. He's like, hey, there's some of them are good. No. All right. If you are on that side, you are anti-American. If you want to claim being an American, if you want to be the American president, if you're the president of Germany and there's people walking around with Nazi symbols on their arm, you're not going to be like, yeah, some of them have good intentions. Some of them are good people. No. They are flawed individuals who probably need further education. You need to pity them, not praise them. But the white fragility thing is, I think I've experienced that. I think I encountered that the other day. And there was so much sort of rage directed at me when there's a lot of shouting going on in the street. I don't know what's going on. I might have to investigate. I might have to be like Sister Night and punch someone. Lots of screaming. Maybe someone's in distress. I don't know. I can't tell. They are making loud noises, though. Now, guys, because I am against an establishment, I'm against a system that basically all aspects of society participate in. We participate in a system that is unequally biased. It is unequally weighted, yet we daily participate in it. All of us. Some of us really work hard to not participate in it. We try to work against it. That is not to say, when I say I'm against the establishment, that is clearly, to me anyway, has nothing to do with white people. And I want to say this again. I want to really, really hammer this home because it's been on my mind and it's been frustrating. You can be against a system that is broken, but not be against a group of people or individuals. Now, this distinction has to be made, and I'm making this distinction only, I guess, for people out there who are feeling that because people are standing up for Black lives, because people are standing up for equality, people might be feeling, you must now not like me. Someone who is of the majority, someone who is not a person of color. They must be like, uh-oh, everyone hates me. And I'm like, that's not true. That's clearly we all need to work together right now. We actually have to team up and just ask for equality, like our friend Kimberly Jones says. Y'all better be happy that all we want is equality and not revenge. It's a powerful statement. It's a powerful statement. It sounds like a threat, but it's a truth. Could you imagine? And I think a lot of people can. They're like, wow, if there were like hundreds of years of this. Popcorn Passport says he has had this debate about an hour ago. All right, Popcorn Passport, I want to know what happened in your debate. I need to know what the result of that conversation was, because the conversation I had was confounding. I had to end it by saying, look, if we cannot agree that an establishment is different than a group of like a group of people, basically, then we can't have this conversation. And the way I dissected it was, look, you could say you hate the WWE. You hate the way Vince McMahon runs things. You don't like the way the show is run. Does that mean you hate wrestling? Does that mean you hate wrestlers? Does that mean you hate The Rock? No. You love the wrestling. You love the showmanship. You hate the WWE. You don't like the system. Another example, more relevant. You don't like the police department and the way it's set up and the fact that they target communities of color. Stop and frisk in New York. Overwhelmingly, Black and Latino, Latinx people were stopped and frisked randomly. Overwhelmingly, like 90%. Upwards of 80, 90% of the people that were stopped and frisked randomly targeted because of their race, racially profiled. Now you could say all cops are bad. No, that's clearly not true. You could say I hate all cops. You don't have to hate all cops, but you can hate the system. You can hate what the system was designed to do. You can say that it's flawed. You can want to fix that. So if you're a cop, and there's a woman right now going viral. She was a cop waiting for her Egg McMuffin, and she's crying about the fact that she was afraid. It's like, okay, there's some truth to that, but listen, you got a gun on you, and everywhere you go and show up, there might be people of color who are afraid of you all the damn time. So maybe your Egg McMuffin delay gave you a flash of reality because you were thinking of Shake Shack that happened a few days before, where the 3 officers were sent to the hospital because they were not feeling well after drinking milkshakes that tasted like bleach. But it turned out that was not a malicious thing that happened. It turned out the Shake Shack machine was needed a cleaning and was faulty and put some cleaning chemical in there. That was what the investigation showed. So there was no attack on police. Officer Karen McMuffin. She'd like to speak with the McMuffin manager. She'd like to talk to Mayor McCheese about this. I tell you, though, there's going to be a swing back and forth. There's the swing of like everybody's like, oh, yeah, this stuff sucks. This is horrible. Police, the way it's structured needs to be restructured. We need to say that. Restructure the police, not defund the police. Restructure the police. It's a better term we need. Refund the police. Get a refund on that, Egg McMuffin, Karen. If it swings this way, there's going to be the reaction of the term, and it sounds weird, it feels weird for me to say, but the white fragility that might be happening with some people where they're like, oh my God, this is a horrible situation. But wait, it's not me that is causing this. It's like, well, it may not be you that is causing this, but we all of us, me, you, Karen McMuffin, Lou Gossett Jr., Fred Savage, RuPaul. We all have to get together and just call it out and work on it. We're not sitting there playing a blame game right now. We're not blaming. That's the thing. It's not a blame game. There's no freaking blame right now. There's work to be done. Simple. Stop crying that you feel guilty. I will work on my anger toward the system, and we can both constructively work toward a better goal. This is very simple. Guys, if you feel guilty, just work on if you're feeling compelled, if whatever the feeling that you have that is overwhelming you, please try not to lash out about it. Please try to work through it. This is what adulting is. This is how adults happen. Am I right, Baby Yoda? It's all right. I tell you, that's how you got to adult. You got to realize which emotions are yours and which are not yours. And that was ultimately what happened with me in my discussion with my friend, which was they were saying to me, I can't imagine how you're not angry with white people right now. So you must be mad about white people. And I was like, no, not at all. I don't understand how you make that conclusion. And they were like, well, I can't imagine why you wouldn't be. And I'm like, okay, well, then that's for you to work on. That's for you to try to imagine, I guess. That's not for me to try to imagine. It's like, well, it seems horrible. It seems horrible. Yes, it is horrible. But guess what? Like Kaferg says right here, if you feel guilty, do something about it. Stop blaming it or stop trying to put that guilt on other people and saying, well, why are you mad at me? It's like, well, I'm not mad at you. I'm actually not at all. I'm actually encouraged right now to work with you toward a better end. But if there's that like, I don't like that the idea that you might be mad at an establishment that perhaps I somehow identify with, there's a cognitive dissonance, and I cannot fix that. I cannot make that better for you. So this is growing pains. We're going to encounter this, guys. We're going to encounter all this. So can you imagine the 105-year-old character, Lou Gossett Jr., his character in, you guys remember, what was his name? Night Watch? Kevin? Lou Gossett Jr.'s character in The Watchmen, having seen 100 years of this garbage go down. 100 years. And I think the illustration about The Watchmen that's so relevant is the dude in the character that Lou Gossett, I'm so happy to see Lou Gossett Jr. He's very old to be a junior. Just Lou Gossett. I'm very happy to see him. He is a sci-fi legend, guys. Enemy Mine, what a freaking cool movie that was. That was the same director that directed The Neverending Story. He did Enemy Mine after that. That's a fun romp through sci-fi. When you got Dennis Quaid and Lou Gossett Jr. Lou Gossett Jr. plays his like alien husband. It's amazing. It's amazing. Transcends race. It transcends gender. It's important. But again, it's a white savior trope. But anyway, that trope aside, Enemy Mine, probably read the book instead. The movie is, I remember it being really cool. Hooded Justice. Lou Gossett spent his life being a hero, trying to fight it, combat it, his whole life, the racism. And he was a lifelong dedicated. He did not care what Don Johnson was up to. He was like, yeah, I'm going to make you hang yourself. He's like, oh, you're a Klan guy? Well, let's fix that. One of the cool things about The Watchmen, guys, I hope you watch The Watchmen, because there's going to be spoilers all over this place. All up in this bee. Please watch The Watchmen. It's really good. If you're at all concerned about what's going on in the world and you want to kind of take it in small bites, there's some really interesting stuff that The Watchmen show illustrates, like just like Asian racism, Black American racism, all kinds of racism, all in every which way. It's a fantastical romp. Like, what if we won the Vietnam War decisively and took it over as a territory? Really, and that's also in the original graphic novel. The TV show is a perfect companion piece with the original novel, Alan Moore. I think you think this, and that makes me feel bad. Yes, Eva Gala. Gala, is that like the apple? It's so true. It's hard to combat that, Eva. That was what I was combating, and that's why I was very upset. I was actually hurt. I was very hurt by the idea that someone, And this is what I was trying to ask them. I was like, so are you taking away from my activity and my action and my wanting to be a part of the solution? Is your takeaway from all of that I must hate? I must be mad at white people? Because that to me is completely incongruous. That doesn't go together. My brain cannot manufacture that. It's just fun. It's phenomenally a misreading of who I am as an individual, and that it feels deeply insulting and hurtful. I don't think anybody who's been watching the show for the last 3 weeks, I mean, if that's your takeaway from this show, I'm doing something wrong or I'm not expressing myself properly. And I will work on that, but that seems there's nowhere in me that feels that. So I cannot imagine that that's what people are taking away. I can't imagine that that's what I'm putting out. So if I am, let me know, because it doesn't seem like that to me. But yeah, it's really hard to combat when someone's like, listen, I can imagine that you must feel this way, so therefore you feel that way. And it's like, wait, no. You got to work that out. You got to figure out who's feeling what. That's you feeling a certain way. Maybe you feel guilty. Maybe you feel some kind of, that you feel helpless in the situation, and therefore you're now trying to put that back on me so that I can absolve you from that. And I'm not here to absolve anyone. I'm here to work through my emotions, and I hope that you can work through yours. Obviously, we could talk to each other about them. I'm not an absolutionist. I'm not here to dub thee one of the good ones. Like, I don't understand that concept. I've been subject to that. I've been privy to like horribly racist conversations growing up on Long Island in Suffolk County. And people would kind of look over at me and say, well, you know, you're not you though. You're one of the good ones. You're light-skinned or whatever the situation is. You're not, you know, just this is the way I've been there for conversations like that. The N-word thrown around. Well, not you though. People want to act like Long Island ain't racist. It's racist AF, guys. I grew up there. I live in Los Angeles now. Los Angeles had literal race riots, and I feel pretty comfortable here. Long Island has this whole, like, turn its back on it vibe. Long Island has this, Suffolk County has this, yeah, we have Hispanic people, we have black people, but we put them in different towns. Like, literally, that's kind of the mentality. And I heard that almost the exact statement coming from one of my best good friends growing up, he happens to be Polish and Italian descent. He was telling me, because I grew up with this guy, he was like my best friend, so growing up, and we've known each other since we're 5. And he would just be like disgusted with what he would hear, and I would hear some of the things when I joked about earlier. I'm like, I know what people are saying publicly. I know what people are saying to me. I don't know what white folks are saying to each other. There's no way for me to know that unless I have a friend like my buddy growing up, and he would tell me like, you know, so and so said this, and it was incredibly disgusting, and I said F off to him. And that's a good thing. That's actually being anti-racist. That's what we need to do. We can't sit there and get upset that people might be upset with us. We have to say, okay, actually, here's an activity, just like K-Ferg said. If you feel guilty, do something positive about it. That's all you want to do. That's what I'm trying to do. I don't feel guilty. I feel actually motivated right now to be like, all right, I feel validated in a lot of ways, justified. And just saying, hey, look, guys, this is an actual problem. Let's now that we got some fire under our skin and in our blood, let's get to work and let's do something now. I'm actually motivated that they're finally acknowledging there's a problem. The first step toward a solution is acknowledging there's a problem. Am I right? Am I right, people? Am I right? I'll tell you, You guys might not recognize this mug. This is my other mug. I kept it in the closet, in the dock, but I put my other mug broke, guys. I'm upset. I broke it by accident. It fell on the floor, and I watched it shatter into 20 pieces. There was a Nazi camp in Yaphank in the 1930s. Yaphank, ladies and gentlemen, is a town in Suffolk County, Long Island. And wonderful name, isn't it? Yaphank. There's some really fun ones on Long Island. Yaphank, Metatuk. These are, I guess, the Panattaquit Indians, Native Americans, indigenous peoples. You gotta find the right. We do have to start using the right verbs. It's important. It really is. People go, I want to say Indians. It's like, okay, well, Indians are from India. Know your geography, right? But then why aren't they Native Americans? Because the place wasn't called America when they were here first. I'm going to call your house my house. I'm going to call you yeah. After I move into your house, I will call you a native throttler because you lived in my house before I got there. The people who were here first, the first people, the first nations. A nation is a group of folks. And there are many nations of people who lived here before we decided to homogenize and melting pot this country, but not really. Let me catch up with some of these comments here in the group comment section. I don't think that you are not expressing yourself properly. Sounds like projection. Tatiana, I'm 100% with you on the projection thing because I think the upset, the level of ire that I'm feeling is when I'm like, no, that's wrong. that is so not true. Like, when you're accused of something that you didn't do, you get like all out of sorts. And I'm feeling like that's projection. I honestly, Tatiana, I have shown several people the conversation through text that I had. I'm just going to be out there and honest with this. I'm not outing this person, but I want people to know that like I showed the verbatim text transcript of what was going on in this discussion. And people were like, sounds like this person feels guilty and is projecting onto you. And I'm like, okay, thank you for the validation. I appreciate that, my friend. And I cannot fault someone for that. I can't fault people for that. Because this is the course of emotion. This is what we're going to go through. We're going to go like this. And we're going to talk about Watchmen, I promise. But we're going to go up and down and up and down. But the problem is, do not drag me into your situation. I need to step away from it. We can come back together, talk about it later. But right now, you're accusing me of some stuff that I am clearly trying to combat. Terrible, terrible stories. I went to high school with white boys calling white boys the N-word daily. Yeah. Just to throw that word around is it's very disrespectful. I think people don't realize the weight and the I have several thoughts on that, but I'll save those for some other time. Yeah, Long Island has a big KKK group. Oregon has like the largest active KKK members in the country or something like that in the last 100 years. Long Island, people trying to act like it ain't racist. Totally racist, guys. Come on now. It's so friggin' racist. There was a rally at Madison Square Garden, a Nazi rally in like the 20s or the 30s, a Nazi rally. At Madison Square Garden. Americans, Nazis. One of the things I love about the Watchmen is Lady Trieu. She's a boss. She's a boss lady. I really dug her. I thought she was a phenomenal character. I thought she was perfectly cast. And I liked her motivations. Another thing about The Watchmen that's pretty phenomenal is that every character, you're like, I hate this character. Oh, I like this character right now. Or you're like, should I like this person? Should I trust this person? Oh, I shouldn't. Oh, I should. And that's the fun of watching that show. Uncle Bob's name was Robert E. Lee. Yeah, my uncle. Rest in peace. My uncle, I'll tell you a story about my uncle. He was a great uncle. I don't think he didn't choose the name Robert E. Lee. Called him Uncle Bob. But he was a quiet guy, and unless he was loud. Yeah, Uncle Bob was quiet. He didn't say much unless he was screaming. I'm just having a good old memory of every encounter with Uncle Bob. He was great at holidays. He would sit in the corner and you'd open your present from Uncle Bob on Christmas Day, and it was always a really cool thing. It was always like this outside the box. Oh, this is actually really cool. I'm going to spend all Christmas Day playing with this thing or trying to figure out this puzzle. He was an observant dude. And nice guy. Nice guy. Unless he was angry. But still nice when he was angry. He had a very funny way of exploding. He'd be angry. But he'd be like, okay, I will, all right. Funny. Families. So Juneteenth is tomorrow. And Juneteenth is a powerful day for Black Americans. It, as much as we want to think slavery and the echoes of slavery is over, it's not. It's definitely we're still feeling it. We're still seeing it every day. We're still seeing the subjugation of Americans. It's weird. It's weird, guys. Think about how frickin' weird that is. We don't have no hooded justice. Imagine that. Love The Watchmen because it did take care. Veronica, if you haven't watched The Watchmen, watch Watchmen. Mom, Watchmen is on HBO. It's phenomenal. It's actually a sequel piece to a graphic novel from back in the day, and it's powerful. It's a powerful reflection on who heroes are in our society and how our society was not our society is definitely deeply flawed. All right, Veronica watched it. It's good. I tried to get my brother to watch it, but he's like, I don't like superheroes. I'm like, it's not superheroes. It's more of a cop show. It's more of like remember Lost? You liked Lost, didn't you? They would do like these character studies every episode. So each episode, you go back through a character's life and see what their experience was individually. And it's actually a really fun showcase of acting and character development. It's not cop show. 1920s was out of 7 people on Long Island were a member of. In the 1920s, 1 out of 7 people on Long Island were a member of the KKK. Tell me that doesn't. That's 1920s. That's 100 years ago. That's 90 plus years ago. Tell me that there aren't people alive or people's kids or their grandkids on Long Island right now that aren't sharing some of their family values. The one thing that's funny, I went back to Long Island a couple years ago to see one of my favorite bands, Radiohead. I don't know, they might be my favorite band. Bunch of British blokes. They, geniuses, all of them. They, playing Madison Square Garden, and I met up with my friend, incidentally, the same friend I had that massive argument with a couple days ago, because they were at the same concert. They were with their brother. I was with my brother. And they were with a couple of friends, and they were all from Long Island. And maybe this wasn't. I feel like in Los Angeles you can say stuff like this in groups of people. Like you can. I think we're a little bit more culturally evolved in California. I know there are pockets of California that are very stunted. There's lots of Mormon areas, and I don't want to say that if you're Mormon you're stunted, but you know what? Open a science book. But and stop wearing magical underwear. Okay, I'm not going to make fun of religions right now, except for religions that wear magical underwear, because that's ridiculous. I saw Book of Mormon. It was good. I liked the play. Obviously, a lot of Mormons like it too. It was written by a couple of dudes who grew up Mormon. Matt Parker and Trey Stone, I'll call them, even though that's spoonerism of their names. But I was hanging out with these folks, and they were saying, hey, so you've been living in LA for like 8 years now? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, cool. So like, what's the biggest thing that you notice, like the difference when you come back to Long Island? Like, what's the thing that you're like, oh yeah, Long Island is like more like this? And I was like, probably the overt racism. I experienced it on the train with my brother on the way to the concert that night. The train engineer, we were coming through a door on the train. I'm going to leave you guys on Instagram. We're going to hang out on Twitter. We're going to hang out on AristotleFullThrottle.com. My brother and I were walking through the train, and I confronted her about it too. And she was like, I think she was collecting tickets. Someone was coming in the door. I held the door. I got out of the way. My brother, this is important to the story, is legally blind and hearing impaired. He bumped into somebody because he's legally blind and hearing impaired. He bumped into someone, and the train engineer, she said, she happened to be a white lady, an old white lady, and she said, oh yeah, real nice, freaking animals, to me and my brother, under her breath. So I stopped, I turned around, and I walked up to her, and I said, excuse me? And she's like, what do you want? And I'm like, thought I heard you say something. And she said, I didn't say anything. And I was like, right. Okay. I thought so. And it was just the overtness of that. The overtness of someone saying something like that to me and my brother. It was I don't know if you've been called an animal before, but I don't think it's a friendly term. We got 1 minute and 40 left on Instagram. Hopefully Instagram saves the live feed. If you cannot watch the live feed being saved on Instagram, you can go to AristotleFullThrottle.com and watch the show every day and the replay every day. You can watch it here with me. Like the Watchmen. Who watches the Watchmen? We're in that situation right now, guys. Who watches the cops? The cops are out there right now. They're the, quote, Watchmen. Who's going to watch them? Because clearly the body cams, all of this stuff that we've been doing, they're turning off their body cams. They're doing whatever. Poor connection with my Instagram. It's probably going to... Yeah, my Instagram always magically has a poor connection right at the last moment, so it doesn't save the actual feed. But we're in a situation right now where who watches the Watchmen? We got to watch the Watchmen. We got to be a part of the solution. We have to be a community. We have to send task forces to neighborhoods, not just police, to deal with mental illness, to deal with drug addiction, to deal with conflict. There are ways to resolve these situations that don't involve guns and handcuffs. Just look at the UK, guys. Their cops don't carry guns. The regular street cops. If you don't carry guns, fewer people get shot. The one thing in these last 10 seconds on Instagram that I think is hilarious is people going, oh, we need our cops. We need our cops. And those are the same people who are like, we need guns to form a militia in case we have too many cops. All right. Yep. Okay, I can share it to neat. You know what I mean, guys? How friggin' ironic is that there are people that are saying, "Oh, what is this? Defund the police?" But we need the police. Who's going to patrol our neighborhood? Wait, aren't you the same guy that wants a gun so that you can patrol your neighborhood and defend yourself? Aren't you that same guy? Because I'm confused. Unless this is about race. Unless this is about you saying, being like Cooper, Karen Cooper in the park, saying, hey, I'm going to call the cops on you and wield this power against you because I understand that the police can come here and be basically and rid me of your blackness. I think it's important that we kind of figure out the distinction of what the hell's going on here. If you guys want to support my channel, I would really deeply, truly appreciate it because I would continue. You'd be enabling me. You'd be enabling truth. How about that? I just want to be straight with you guys. I just want to be like eye to eye. I have a good story about having cocktails with Nigel Godrich in South London for an... Oh my God, Eva, when we do our Radiohead... When we do our Radiohead show, you're going to talk about the sixth member of course, Radiohead is made up of Tom York, Ed O'Brien, Hertfordshire, they have very British names. Johnny Greenwood, Kevin Greenwood, Bobby Greenwood, Alan Greenwood. There's so many Greenwoods in Radiohead. Phil Selway. And my favorite, Colin Greenwood, the bass player. And she mentions Nigel Godrich. So you got me on a Radiohead kick right now for a second. Nigel Godrich is the honorary sixth member since he's produced every single one of their albums. He has produced every one of their albums. He is their producer, so he's their member. He's their sixth member. Incidentally, Coldplay has a fifth member who is off screen. He's their manager. He helps write and produce and stuff for the... In case you're into Coldplay. Coldplay is like a decaffeinated U2. Yeah. Don't get me started on Radiohead. They all about rhythm. If you guys are into rhythms, complex rhythms, funky, danceable, movable, physically engaging rhythms, Radiohead is one of these people, one of these groups that has tapped into a level. Obviously, our beloved James Brown was also like that. These guys grew up on a lot of this kind of funk and electronica and stuff like that. I can no longer play James Brown as my theme music. Sorry. Turns out the James Brown police came after me. Turns out James Brown chased me around his yard in a pickup truck with a shotgun. I like that I have 10 viewers left right now. I had several viewers on Instagram. We're going to do this until there's like 1 million people watching every day and we're all talking about actual truth and we're moving toward progress in this country and in this world. And personally, hopefully, too, that hopefully you have some personal growth watching this show. Learning how to own your emotions. Learning what projection is. Thank you, Tatiana, for bringing that up. That is actually a real thing. Sometimes if you feel like, uh-oh, is this my emotion or is that another emotion? Everybody is guilty of projection at some point. If you're sitting there thinking, well, this person must think this about me, maybe take a step back, and this is an empathy exercise also, and wonder if that is what perhaps I might be feeling about myself. If I'm feeling guilty, I might accuse you of blaming me for something. I might say, well, it's your fault. I don't want to own this. I don't want to feel like this is my fault. I don't want to feel like I'm a part of the problem. Well, nobody's playing blame game here. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm blaming the system. I'm blaming the problem on that. Jeremy Irons, though, how good was he in? How good is he in Watchmen? Jeremy Irons, perfect casting in this show. I mean, I think his Ozymandias was so good. He is a legend. He looks he is in incredible shape. I mean, also, Lou Gossett Jr. is in incredible shape for being 105 years old. But Jeremy Irons was doing like nude scenes at 75 years old or however young he is. And he looks freaking phenomenal. The guy is... He takes care of his body, his instrument. He's an actor. You got to take care of your instrument. That's what actors do. That's why they all work out all day. Am I right? Jeremy Irons, how perfect is he as the... now we're entering the second hour of Aristotle Full Throttle. I do have to do some work today. I have a couple things due. I got to make a TikTok. I can't think of anything funny. Right now, it's hard. I got to make a TikTok. It's part of my schedule. I got to schedule a TikTok. I actually was featured on a Instagram page yesterday. I'm gonna mention this briefly. I was featured on an Instagram page, and I started to get all these followers, and I was like, uh-oh. And then I saw that they used my video from TikTok the other day about me explaining what it was like to grow up for me on Long Island encountering racism. Or not racism, just encountering rude inquiries into why I appear the way I do, which is my business, ultimately. And when you're asked so rudely by people, and in a way that you could tell is not coming from a pure curiosity place, it's actually coming from a place, because you can tell that, guys. When you're me, you can tell when someone's genuinely curious about your heritage, or like kind of off put, or kind of coming at you like, I can't figure you out, I need to know. It's as if you were to look at someone who is potentially transgender and you were like, so what's your genitalia? You know, it's kind of not your business, actually, to be honest. It's really not your business. So people are like, you should have been proud. It's like, yeah, I am proud. I am proud, but there's a potential part of where you're like, all right, you're just looking at me as if I'm an other, and you're trying to put me in a box. So I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to enjoy this now, because you feel entitled enough to say, you need to tell me right now what your heritage is. You need to tell me that, because I am owed that, because you do not look white. And I need to know why, and you need to tell me why. No, I don't. That's the fun of it. Isn't that fun? That's where I'm coming from in that TikTok. It's a joke. It's more fun. I'm happy to share with people who are genuinely curious, who are like, so this is my heritage, blah, 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 blah. I did 23andMe. I was really curious as to where my genes come from. Have you ever done 20? Like, this is a conversation that you would have where it would naturally turn into, so what's your heritage? Not just coming up to someone coldly and flatly saying, what are you? This is the distinction I'm making in my TikTok. I actually preface it by saying, look, when people were rude about it, I would have fun with my friends. My friends around. They'd watch it happen, and they'd just kind of giggle, because, you know, people are rude. And if people are rude, you don't owe them anything. If people are polite and kind and respectful and empathetic, you can share all you want. It's your prerogative. The point that I was trying to, and there were a lot of comments on that post on Instagram that were like, well, you should just tell people. No, I don't have to. I'm sorry. If I don't have to do something, I'm not going to. I will volunteer the information, but I don't have to. And I don't. When it comes from a place of like, you owe me, you need to tell me, then I don't. It's me growing up in an environment and dealing with that particular environment the way that I chose to. I'm allowed. You're allowed. You're all allowed. And you know what Michael Jackson used to say? I'm not going to bring up Michael Jackson ever again on this show. Doesn't matter if you're black or white. Doesn't matter. If you're Jeremy Irons, though, man, that dude is like, he's made of iron. All right, posting that. Yeah. Long Island, just think Long Island. You'll find some content for your TikTok. Yeah, I'll think of maybe some other TikTok situations. I know like Long Island people would probably like if I talked about how good the bagels are. Bagels are good. Pizza is good. Sometimes there are people that you encounter on Long Island that are straight racist. And you go, oh, well, it's funny because it's almost like a tolerable thing. At least in LA, the racists are in hiding. They're quiet about it. Although I have encountered it, obviously. Everyone does. Popcorn passport, 20% African, 15% white. Lotus Mountain Assassin. White Lotus Mountain Assassin? Sounds like a video game. 30% Wakandan. Wakanda forever. And my mama's side is 35% Marvel comic book. Dang. Cover to cover. We just got Popcorn Passport's biography just there. Wakanda forever. I'm gonna share something with you guys because this gets me real excited. When I was in the movie theater, thank you Popcorn Passport for sharing your myriad comic book background. Yeah, Wakandan is like its own continent. It's East African, but it's also doesn't exist. So you could be 100,000,000% Wakandan. I'm Wakandan. I'm pretty sure I'm Wakandan. My neck is broke. I'm gonna share this with you guys. I was watching Avengers Endgame, which was probably the most incredible movie-going experience of my adult life. And there was a dude near me. I mean, the whole audience was just going nuts. When you get the chance, just go on Instagram and type in Avengers Endgame and listen or crowd, and you will see clips of the movie Avengers Endgame, listening to the crowd live react to when Captain America gets backed up by his comrades in the end of that movie. You know the part where Billy D. Williams says, we're on your left? Billy D. Williams. You guys, Star Wars Episode 9 being a terrible movie, just literally redid. You know, my favorite parts of Star Wars Episode 9 are when when Lando Calrissian says, on your left, and when Rey says, and I am Iron Man. Those are my favorite parts of that movie, which were in Avengers Endgame. But when you listen to that crowd erupt, when I was there in the theater watching Avengers Endgame, and then you heard Sam come in on the earpiece, and he's like, hey, Cap, on your left. And then you got the magical circle opening up, and then here comes Black Panther and Shuri coming out that circle. And you're just like, the dude in front of me stood up and screamed, Wakanda forever. He was screaming Wakanda, and we were just all like, this is the greatest moment. Man, I wish I could have, my biggest regret is not watching that movie, going to that movie every showing for that entire weekend just to re-experience that crowd, that energy. I got to see it at the Hollywood ArcLight Dome. So much fun. Wakanda forever. So, yes, it's so good. Dude was screaming Wakanda forever, and we were just like, and then everybody started screaming Wakanda forever, because you know what? That's the kind of chant you need. It was very heartwarming to hear people all over the place and seeing that T-shirt everywhere, Wakanda forever. It's a made-up thing, but it means something at the same time. It's a catchphrase. It's a good one. E-Bombay. E-Bombay. You know who I'd like to see more of? M'Baku. M'Baku is my favorite. He's vegetarian. He was good in Us, that actor. That actor is interesting because it's tough for tall actors, and that guy's a big guy. It's tough for us tall actors. It's hard to find roles that they could put us in because we're so tall. I like that there's like 2 Wakandans in Us. M'Baku And I forget what their character's name is, but yeah, the crazy lady, the creepy lady from the Upside Down. I don't know why I'm not good with names lately. This is weird. Maz Kanata. Why can't, like, this is just a name that I should know right off the top of my head. Lupita. Good God, why don't I know that? Too much coffee. But yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, Wakanda Forever. I'm gonna get that shirt right. I'm gonna buy that shirt right now. I don't have that. I've got a Captain America shirt. I don't have a Batman. I have a Superman shirt. I don't know why I don't have a Batman shirt, but I should get a Wakanda Forever shirt. If you guys want to buy my shirts, I got shirts at Aristotle Full Throttle on Teespring. You can support your team. You can get a shirt. I'm going to design some new shirts. I maybe work with some designers who are more talented, who actually know how to design. And I'll get some really cool, stylish clothes out there for you so you can help create a symbol of when you see this fro in this face, when you see this image, that'll maybe mean something to somebody someday. That, like, one day that they'll go, oh yeah, that means, like, no bullshit. Yeah. No such thing as too much coffee. My sister says, you know what? You're right. You're right about that. No such thing as too much coffee. Sometimes I drink so much coffee I fall asleep. It's weird. Makes no sense. Yeah, I like that Wakanda Forever. I like the style of it. I like, there's some they got where they got the where he keeps the suit in that necklace. That's cool. I like that design. It's so funny how Black Panther, Shuri figured out the nanobot technology before Tony Stark did. That's pretty it's pretty cool. That's why it's kind of, she could be the heir apparent to Iron Man, or at least I know that Spider-Man is groomed. He's got the nanobot suit now. He's got the nanotech suit. And then you've got Shuri, who's got the gloves, the sonic blasting gloves. But it kind of makes sense that she should take up the mantle. Because in the comic book, I mean, maybe they can get the girl in the comic book also. I mean, you don't have to just condense all of the characters into the ones we already know. We can create new ones. Hoodies. Oh, yeah, we need hoodies. Tank tops. Thank you for the ideas. These are good ideas. You should make a show or a t-shirt that's called Allegory of the Fave. Allegory of the Fave. Of the Favre? Of the Brett Favre. Of the Favreau. Reed Richards. Did Reed Richards figure out the nanotech? E-Bombay. Listen, what I would like the show to be is all y'all and me, I can be Thor, all y'all and me standing up together, towing that line, facing off the Thanos, the Donald Trump, and his evil army of BS. And we got to dust this. We got to dust this situation and reset. We need to reset that, you know, Thanos represents all that's tough in this world. Reed Richards coming next phase. Yeah, man, they've really consolidated the fact that I like that all of the other companies like 20th Century Fox and Sony are going, you know what, Marvel, you've been doing this the best for the last 10 years. Why don't we hand you the reins to these properties and then we'll just split the profits because we can't make any money off of this. We suck at it. And Marvel has their heart in the right place when it comes to this because they think about the characters and they're thinking about the characters and our relationship to those characters over the years. That's what they're thinking about. And I really do think that. I think that they know it's entertainment. They know it's popcorn. They know we enjoy it though, but we go on this journey with these people, and it's my stories. I gotta watch my stories. I'm like a 90-year-old abuela. The telenovelas. This is what it is to me. I'm not gonna sit there and tell you it's the finest of cinema, but I can argue it. I sure can. I could tell you why it's cinematically valid and good and should be nominated for awards. I could tell you all those reasons why. I ain't got to tell you guys. You already know. But I definitely highly recommend The Watchmen. The Watchmen is... I got to rewatch it because there's so many things. Like that first episode when the cop is trying to call in to permission to actually pull his firearm and have it released so that he doesn't get murdered by the folks in the car. It's a real kind of tense situation. And I do think that Damon Lindelof came back from his fall from grace, I think. Damon Lindelof has so many good ideas as a writer. And when he was doing Lost, there were so many good ideas that he incorporated in that show, but then it kind of got lost. Then he did Prometheus, and Prometheus, we all know what happened there. There's so much about that movie that wants to make it a good movie, but it turns out it's just mediocre at best. Damon Lindelof regrouped. He went back to the drawing board and said, hey, how do I do a good thing and illustrate American history and sell a good story and make a good story that illustrates American history and the atrocities that people have had to endure, and then, get swept under the carpet and just pretend that didn't happen. Marvel just got to stop making their black characters sidekicks for real. Angelo, I agree with you. There's so much. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. The black friend. These tropes are so... like you could only hope to be a leading man. I was watching David Oyelowo talk about this the other day on Whitney Cummings. Whitney Cummings, funny lady. Talented, hardworking comedian. And people may not like her. They may not like her vibe. I get it. She's a brand. She's a type. She leans into her type. She leans into how she's perceived and her, like a lot of stereotypes and tropes about being a white lady. Like she leans into that and makes jokes about it. And that's what we need to do. We need to make jokes about these things and not fights about them. And she had David Oyelowo on her talk show. Maybe I'll have Whitney Cummings on this show sometime. I'll interview her. And David Oyelowo was saying he was so excited that he got a part in a movie, a Disney movie, and he was telling his son, his teenage son, hey, I'm very excited. I got this role in this movie, and I got the part. And his son said, oh, great, Daddy. Are you going to be the sidekick? Are you going to be the best friend? Because that is what is expected. That is definitely what is... People, it's an empathy issue. This is an empathy issue. This show that you're watching right now I'm making lots of noise. I'm fiddling. I'm fiddling with things. Sorry. This show is trying to illustrate. I would like to demonstrate and illustrate and also learn from you. Empathy. How do we do that? The reason there's so much, there's such a lack of empathy between racial groups, or at least perceived racial groups, because there's a real lack of empathy. It's a real thing. It's hard for people to identify with people who don't necessarily look just like them. It's hard for them. And that is a truth. That is a cold, hard truth. And that's why we need to work at imagining what it's like. We need to talk with our friends. We need to share our personal experiences with people who haven't had the same experience. And we can also do what Anja N.O. says, the opposite of, and lift up black folks as main characters, lift up Asian folks as main characters, lift up all groups of people as main characters and central figures, and not like pad everything with the white experience. I understand that the white experience is something that we all watch on TV daily, all of the time, and that's not everyone's experience, but we all know it. We all know it because it's what we see all the time, and it's what we expect from our own experience sometimes. We expect that, oh, well, Marty McFly lived this life, and it seemed pretty charmed, obviously, with some problems, because he had to get back to the future. And also, his board didn't work on water because he didn't have power. We learned that from the Asian sidekick, from Griff's Asian sidekick. Where's Billy Zane in the future? Why didn't they just have Billy Zane's grandkid? Hey, Gramps. You know who we never saw? We never saw Biff's kid. I bet you Thomas F. Tompkins, what's his name? Cliff F. Thompson's actor who played Biff. I bet you he's like the appropriate age right now to play Thomas F. Wilson, to play the interim Biff. We saw the old Biff, who was Gramps, and we saw Griff, who was his grandson. We never saw Daddy Biff. I'm proposing right now, Hollywood, right now, give Thomas F. Wilson his own vehicle as the the interim generation Biff. We saw great grandpa Buford. What was his name? Buford Wilson? Buford. Mad Dog Tannen. We saw his great-great-granddaddy. We saw Biff. And then we saw Griff. We ain't seen Driff. We haven't seen the midriff yet. He would be the perfect age, too. Let's get Thomas F. Wilson Jr. to play interim Griff. And that's what I have to say about the Watchmen. I know I wanted to talk about some DC here for you, Ange, but the Watchmen speaks for itself. You just got to watch it. It's pretty phenomenal. It's a great show. Just addressing real life issues. Spliff. Popcorn Passport says his name should be Spliff. He should be hanging out with Snoop Dogg. It should be 2015. We should go back to 2015 and have Spliff and Thomas F. Wilson gonna be playing Spliff, hanging out. And he's like a cool dude. Imagine that. Because he's the son of the President Biff, or whoever the Biff changed the future. Which timeline would it be in? Who knows? Yeah, but it's 2015, 30 years. If he was, I guess he could probably play, because he's 61 now. He could probably play like 55, 50 years old. I don't know. Very funny. I think that would work. And give that guy a job, for real. He thought he was going to be fired after they fired Eric Stoltz, but they didn't fire him, because he was awesome. The guy who plays Biff, you hate him because he was so good at it. He was so good at being hateable. Very funny. We need to do Demolition Man did the cops. Just give them those wands. It's a good idea. We should also freeze people. We should also freeze Wesley Snipes and smash him like they did in Terminator 2. That was kind of anticlimactic if you think about it, because Terminator 2 already showed somebody getting frozen in liquid nitrogen and then getting smashed. And then like 2 years later, Demolition Man was like, hey, let's freeze Wesley Snipes and smash him also to kill him. But he ain't going to come back from that unless they piece him back together. That would be cool. Wesley Snipes, tax evading superhero. Got one viewer on Twitch. Welcome. One viewer on Twitch. I appreciate you. Keep watching. Tell us your truth. Tell us what you think is the BS. That's all I want to do, guys. Let's get real again. Let's get real again, because I think it's being taken away from us. That's my alarm telling me that I need to do some work. So I gotta go. But we need to keep it real. Keeping it real here on Aristotle Full Throttle. YouTube chat issue detected. Our team is currently investigating an issue that has caused some users to receive chat messages duplication from YouTube Restream chat. There's all kinds of technological problems. Everything promises you it'll work, but it doesn't. Technology's got to work with technologies. You always plug in the USB cable upside down. Goodbye, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. Time to adult. Got to get back to work. I appreciate it. Good night, Tatiana. Good day to you, Ange. Good day, Popcorn. Good day, Will. Have fun at work. Bye, Eva. Bye, Veronica. I will talk to you all tomorrow. I'm Aristotle Full Throttle, your bro in the know. With the fro. Got my curls on point today. Got the curls. I got my Superman curl right here. That, just like Kal-El. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.